Hi guys, good morning and good evening. I hope you're able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm? Okay. So today I'm going to take you through in till last session what we have done is we took the data from the from Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2 by using copy data activity. So we have come across these three options. So file path and data set, wildcard file path and list of files we came across with the help of copy data activity. And even when you read the data from the database, then we are going to have three different options: table, query, and stored procedure. So how we can read the data from the database that I'm going to take you through. I'm just taking this copy here again. Okay, so when you read the data from the database, we're having these three options. Now I have a requirement. I wanted to read the data from the database, but this database is there in the cloud. This database is there in the cloud. So I'm just giving the name of the database is source, any name that we can give it. And I wanted to load the data into the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. This is your target. The target I wanted to have, let me take this details. So I need to have this details. Okay. So inside this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2, inside this data files, I wanted to store the data. I'm just going to take a customer.csv, and here I have a table called, let's take out this here and keep this, and table name I'm just saying customer. So I wanted to read the data from here. In order to read it, we can use copy data activity. Copy data you can use. And your target is going to be customer.csv. I wanted to do it. So this is the requirement. The required services for this particular requirement we have here is required services. One is Azure SQL Server data, SQL database. And ADLS, Gen2, and ADF. So these three services we require. We already know how we can set up them. Again, I'm going to show you because since I removed everything data factory, so I need to do it. So here I wanted to create a pipeline to move the data from Azure SQL Server database to I'll do one thing. Let's make it little up. Okay. Create a pipeline to read data from source. Let's say from data from Azure SQL database to ADLS Gen2 as per below diagram. So I wanted to do this. So in order to do this, we required this service. This required services are this, and I'm just saying these are all the sources I wanted to say. So let's set up the services first. So once I set up this, then how exactly we can handle it, we are going to see. Let's go to home. First, I'll create a SQL server here because SQL server it takes some time. Let's hit on SQL server. Let's create. I am creating a SQL server in a Azure. Return. I wanted to go with a single database for practicing. This is more enough for us. And resource group, I wanted to create a resource group is Bhaskar-dev. And database name, I'm just saying source. I already told you at the time of Azure SQL Server, I told you when you create a database, make sure there should be server. If you don't have a server, then you cannot have the databases. Let's create a server for this particular purpose. So I'm just saying Bhaskar SQL is the name of the server. And let's take a location, Central India I'm taking. So to connect to this particular server, we require to provide the login details, administrator details I'm just providing here. At the time of creating server, whatever the login details you provided, that user is going to be administrator for the server. So he will be having full control on all the databases which are hosted in this particular server. Hit OK. And development I'm just taking here. And I don't need this configuration. Let's go for the basic configuration to reduce the cost. For practicing, this is more enough. And we talked about all the pricing, what are the different types of purchasing models and pricing tiers. Let's apply. And let's go to the next. In the next step, we need to make sure to switch on these two things here for practicing. In real time, we are not going to handle all this stuff. Allow Azure services and resources to access this server and add your client IP address and review plus create. So while creating this, I can also go and create another service, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We don't need to wait for till it is completed. We can do parallelly. So since we already habituated how we can create a storage accounts, I'm just trying to do it in a parallel. Plus create. Same resource group I'm taking and Bhaskar ADLS Gen 2 I'm taking. Let's take a locally redundant. The next step, make sure to enable hierarchical namespace and review plus create. And while this is creating, again, we can go and create a data factory parallelly for practicing. Let's plus create. Resource group is dev resource group. ADF Bhaskar 123 and Central India and review plus create. So all three are going parallelly, so we can save the time. This two will take less time, but this will take some time. Now data factory is done. Let's launch the data factory studio. And storage is also created, storage account. So containers, data files is the name of the containers. Let's go inside data files and I'm adding directory called input directory as well as adding output directory. Both I'm just adding. I'm not keeping anything inside this input and output. So I need an output at this point of time. So database is still in progress. Let it be done. Let's go to resource. Now your database is created. I wanted to connect to the database. We already know how we can connect with SQL Server Management Studio. Let's hit on connect. We already seen by using SQL Server Management Studio how we can connect it. So it was already connected for one of my server, on-prem server. I wanted to connect to the cloud. You can just use this connect here itself. So that means by using SQL Server Management Studio, you can connect multiple servers. So my server name here is, this is the one. Let's take a copy of this. In real time, they are going to provide the server name to you, and you can enter the server name and the authentication type. I'm taking here SQL Server Authentication, and some people they may go with the Entra MFA also. Okay, so it's all depends. Okay, so whatever the authentication they're providing, that you can take it. Let's take SQL authentication and provide the password. Let's make a, this is not mandatory. If you make it mandatory, it will not allow to connect it. Recently, it is happened in SQL Server Management Studio 20. So just take this encryption optional here. Let's make a connection. And I have a source database here. Let's select the source database and hit on new query. Then it is going to be connected to the source database and there. And the server name, you can see here what server it is connected. It is Azure SQL Server. Now here I'm just creating one simple table here. Create table. Table name is customer. And I'm just taking let's say customer ID is integer data type, customer name, varchar 30, and sales money. I'm just taking 3 columns here. Let's execute it. Our table is created. If you expand this table, you can find the tables. In the tables folder, you can find what are the tables are available. So it's a brand new database that we just created, which is not having any table except this customer, because just now we created a customer table. Now you can see. So if you want to read the data from the customer table, then we need to use the select star from customer. We already come across this customer, and I wanted to feed the data into this table. Insert into customer values 101. Customer name is Oscar 2000, and you can give with the comma separator. You can provide multiple rows here. 102 Raja 3000. Like this, I just wanted to keep 2 records in this. I have a 2 records. If I execute again select statement, you can see 2 rows are available. Now I wanted to read the data from here from Azure SQL Server database to Azure Data Lake Storage Center. If I wanted to read the data from Azure Storage to Azure Storage, this is the ADLS update. Okay, so I'm not giving the cloud symbol here, but when you see this ADLS Gen 2, then you can feel that that is cloud storage update. So to read the data from the cloud storage and to load the data into the cloud storage, we are going to use Azure IR. And here also we are going to use Azure IR. We have a Azure IR or not in the data factory, can check. Let's go to the manage, under manage integration runtimes. I have a Azure integration runtime here. Auto resolve integration runtime means that is Azure integration runtime. And then I have a 2 different connectivities, so 2 different platforms. This is one different platform and this is another different platform. When I'm taking data from one platform to another platform, then definitely we need to have it 2 link services we require. So we need to create a 2 link services. Let's go to link services plus new Azure. So in Azure you can search for SQL, Azure SQL database. You can see it. They have a connector with the name Azure SQL database. Hit on continue. I'm just saying link service underscore is a SQL underscore source. So I'm just giving some name, auto result integration runtime. By default, it is taken. Let's take a subscription. And server name is Bhaskar SQL. And database name is source database. Authentication is SQL authentication. And username is Bhaskar. And password, enter the password. Let's make a test connection. Now it is connected. Let's go and hit and create. Now one link service is created for source. One link service is created for source and another link service we need to create for target. Let's add one more. This time we are taking Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Hit continue. Link service underscore data files underscore Bhaskar ADLS Gen 2. Let's take a subscription. Storage account name and make a test connection and hit on create. Now link service is created. Now link service is created. And then let's go to the author. And I wanted to create a data sets. How many data sets we created? We need to create one data set for the source and one data set for the target because two different platforms. We cannot reuse it. Even connections also in this particular case, we cannot reuse. And here, I wanted to give some details here. Server. The server name is database, a source database. Okay, so I just provided those details also here, and I'm just going to create a data set. Let's go here, a new data set. Azure, you can search for SQL database, that means Azure SQL database. Hit continue and provide the name of the data set. Basically, when you read the data from the database, you can create a one data set for one database. I always recommend this. So do not create too many data sets for one single database. That's not recommended. Okay, so that I'm just saying, again I'm saying, if you have a database as a data source, then create a one data set for entire database. Do not create a data set for any specific table. Okay, so what I'm doing is, I'm just going to say link service underscore AJ SQL underscore source is my data set. Sorry, this one DS underscore data set underscore Azure SQL underscore database. I'm not giving any table name here. I'm not giving any table name. Instead of that, I'm just going to say query. Okay, so when I say query, then you can feel that that is where we can write a SQL code. Okay, or even if I remove this, the link service name also it looks like similar, but the extents, the prefix will be different. So in link service, we have a LS and here we have a DS. Let's take a link service. And I'm not taking any table here. Okay, so we are going to say how we can take it later. Let's hit OK. And these are all the properties of that. That is fine. We just leave everything. And one data set. For target here, I'm just going to directly pointing to the customer.csv. I'll tell you why I'm taking that. Let's go for another data set. This time, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, delimited text file. Let's say ds underscore data files underscore output underscore customer. Let's take a link service and browse the file. So I have an output folder, but I don't have any file here. And first as a header, let's say none, import schema. I don't need to import the schema here. So I'm just going to take a first as a header. Let's hit OK. So later I can enter the name of the file. Here we already seen this kind of requirement with when I read the data from the file system, we came and we have provided the file name directly here. This is a hard coded file. Okay, so we can make this dynamic later. Now I'm just going to give this manually customer.csv. And once this is done, then we need to create a pipeline. Let's go here, new pipeline. Pipeline underscore move data from Azure SQL to ADLS. So which activity we are going to use? Copy data activity only I'm going to use it. When I take a copy data activity here, you can see I'm just going to select the source data set. The source data set is a database. When I select the database, you can see it is having the table, query, and stored procedure. It is having table, query, and stored procedure. So in real time, we are not going to use table most of the times. I always recommend you to write a SQL code. Even if it is table, like from single table also you can just say select and list of columns and give the from table name. Okay, so if I wanted to take this table, then definitely you have to point to the table because table is not pointed. Data set is not having a table. So if you wanted to take the table, you just open this and go here and you can select the table. And if you come back to the pipeline, if you preview the data, it is going to show you the data. But I don't want to go with the table. I don't want to go with the table. Your data set is pointing to a table, a single table. But if I wanted to take the data from another table, I can take it from another table by overriding the query. So I'm just going to use this query here. And when you use the query, you can write whatever the query you wanted to write it. You can write a query from you can take data from multiple tables also. So mostly it is recommended, like when you have a multiple tables are participating to read the data from the source, recommended to write a SQL code for that. So we are going to come across that kind of situations. At this point of time, I'm just going to say select star from table name. So both are same. Having a single table and this table is same. Let's preview the data. You can see all the data from this table. 2 records are available. And let's go to the sync. Sync is going to have a sync data set. Nothing more than that. And once you're done, let's publish this. Let's go and debug it. Before debugging, you just observe nothing is available. Let's debug it. Now it is completed. Let's go and see the output. Customer.csv file is available. Let's open this and see the data. This is how we can do it. The same thing, whatever we have done here, the same thing I'm going to do it in a different approach. So different approach means it's more or less same only. Create a pipeline to read the data from on-prem SQL Server database. On-prem SQL Server database to ADLS Gen 2, I wanted to take it. So here my server name I'm taking. In my case, my server name is ADE. And same database I'm taking. Let's take a different table. I'm going to take it here. Let's say employee. And It's more or less same. In place of this, I'm just going to have a employee.csv. So here I don't need this. I need only ADLS Gen 2 and ADF. Of course, on-prem SQL Server database is required. And this is not a cloud. Okay, so same copy data activity, I'm going to use it. So since we are taking on-prem SQL Server, this is an on-prem SQL Server. So since it is on-prem SQL Server, we need to have a integration runtime called self-hosted IR. Self-hosted integration runtime is required. And this is my Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Because of that reason, I can use Azure Integration Runtime. So this time we are going to bring the data from on-prem SQL Server database. I already gave this backup of the source database. We can download and restore the database. We can get the employee table. Okay. So create a pipeline to read data from on-prem SQL Server database to Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 as per below diagram. So same to same, the platform is getting changed. Nothing is different. Everything is same. The only difference is it is going to take the data from the on-prem SQL Server database. The reason why I'm going to use going forward is mostly we are going to take the data from on-prem data sources. That is one thing. And another thing is if I go for every time Azure SQL Server database, you have to pay some amount, right? So since you are using the service from the Azure, you have to pay it. So to avoid that, I'm just taking on-prem SQL Server because both of them are similar. Only thing is this is on-prem and that is cloud. Both are 100% similar. And if you are not having on-prem SQL Server in your database, I shared the documentation to download and install and set up in all the databases. I have shared the document. Just go to them. That is one thing. And still, if you are not in a position to install for some reason, then you can use Azure SQL Server database itself. Okay, so that is the only way that we are having it. Now I'm going to use this, and in the interview point of view, this is very important question. What is self-hosted integration runtime, and when we can use this self-hosted integration runtime? We already talked about it at the time of building blocks of your data factory. So self-hosted integration runtime is used to read the data from non-Azure platforms or non-Azure systems. So here this is on-prem SQL Server. So because of that reason, I'm using self-hosted integration runtime. So in order to read the data from on-prem SQL Server, you have to set up it. What you have to set up? To read data from on-prem SQL Server, we need to install and set up self-hosted integration runtime. Once you install self-hosted IR, then make sure to authenticate with authentication key. From ADF. Okay, so if you don't have authenticated, if it didn't authenticate, then you cannot use this. You cannot use it. You cannot read it. Now let me show you how we can set up it. Let's go to the data factory. Okay, so just give me a moment. In my system, it was already installed for other batch. So I'm just going to do uninstall of it. I can reset it, but you have to write a lot of commands. So I don't want to go with that. So to avoid it, I'm just going to uninstall and reinstall my integration runtime. So since in my system it was already existed, I'm just uninstalling it. It will take a couple of minutes to set up again. Okay, let's come back to here. I'm just going to the integration runtimes. So to read the data from on-prem SQL Server database, I need to have a integration runtime. Let's say plus new self-hosted integration runtime. And here we have a Azure SSIS also. You can see lift and shift existing SSIS packages to execute in Azure. Okay, so we discussed about it, but practically I cannot show this. Let's go with Azure self-hosted integration runtime. Let's continue. Self-hosted, hit on continue. I'm just going to give the name. It's just name only. You can give whatever the name you wanted to say. Self-hosted IR. Let's say hit on create. When I hit on create, it is going to generate the keys here. Key 1 and key 2 authentication keys. I told you, once you install your integration runtime, we need to authenticate the key. So we have two different options here to install. One is the expression setup and other is manual setup. Not recommended the first option. The second option we are going to take it. When I hit on download and install integration runtimes, it opens a window here. You can just download. When I say download, it is going to have the exe file here. The first one you can just go for that and download it. Okay, so since it was in my system, it was already downloaded, so I'm just going to take the existed one. I don't want to download it again. So I'm just closing this entire tab. My uninstallation is completed. Just double click on integration runtime. Once it is downloaded, you're going to have it like this. Let's go to the next. Accept the license terms. Next. Next. And install. It's very simple to install it. So it will ask yes or no. Just press yes to go for installation. So it is asking to keep your system 24/7 available to use this. Otherwise, you cannot use the server. Okay, let's hit OK. That is fine. Just warning or message. Let's hit on finish. Let's say yes. Once it is finished, then it is going to be open. So here we need to authenticate. You have to register your key. Let's go to the data factory and copy this key and go here and paste it. Let's register your key, and now it is registered, and hit on finish. Let's say close and close this. Refresh this. Now it is in the running mode. So if you don't have a running mode, then you cannot use the self-hosted integration runtime. There was some issue in the setup if it is not running. Now link services. My data source is what here? My data source is on-prem SQL Server database. So it's a different platform. So we need to have a one more link service here. Let's say plus new. This time I'm going to take SQL Server, not Azure SQL Server. This is the on-prem SQL Server. Hit continue. And PostgreSQL also we have a connector here. So we can use whatever the connector you require or whatever the data source you're having. You can take appropriate connector to connect and bring the data. So let's say link service underscore on-prem data source. On-prem SQL, let me say here, on-prem SQL. On-prem SQL underscore source is my database name. Let's take it. You cannot take Azure integration runtime. You have to take self-hosted integration runtime. And let's go to server. Server name is ADE. That is what my server name here. Whatever the server name you're having, your system name is a server name. You can take your system name as a server name. And database name, from this particular place, I'm going to take the data from the database called source database. Let's have a name of the database is source. Authentication type is SQL authentication I'm taking because at the time of installation, my SQL server, I have taken Windows authentication. So I'm just taking Windows authentication. Whatever the authentication you're having, you can take it. And I'm just taking here ADA / username. That means Bhaskar is a username. And here we need to feed the password here. It's a Windows login password. It's a Windows password. Let's make a test connection. Let's create it. Now my destination is ADLS Gen 2, so I don't need to create because it is already available. We can see the type of connectivity here. Azure SQL database, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, and SQL Server. Okay, and let's go to link services done. Let's go to the author, and I'm going to create a data set. I'm going to create a data set, a new data set here. So since it is a new database, it's a different platform. So I'm just going to take a SQL Server to create a data set. For entire database, one data set I'm creating, that is ds underscore on-prem SQL underscore source. Let's take a on-prem SQL server. Like this I'm having. That is fine. Let's take a table, or you don't need to take a table here. Just leave it as it is, because I'm just going to take the data from the writing a query. Let's hit OK. Now, I wanted to create a pipeline. Data set is target data set is also required, right? My target data set is employee.csv. I'm taking here employee.csv. Let me keep the file name here also, employee.csv. So to read the data from the employee table, let's select this database and just check is there data or not in the table. Select star from table name is employee. Let's execute it. Now I can see the data. I wanted to read the data from all this records. From all these rows I wanted to read from employee table. Let's go here. I can reuse this data set. I can clone this data set. Let's clone this. So when I clone, I can say here employee. I can say this is an employee. So since it is an employee, I'm just going to say here employee.csv. Employee.csv. That's all. Your data sets are done. And I'm going to create a pipeline now. A new pipeline. PL underscore move data from on-prem to ADLS. Same copy data activity I'm just taking. So here also we have a same options. If you go and select the data set, your source data set is what? On-prem SQL data source. So same options are there here also. You can see table, query, and stored procedure. I'm taking a query. So let's copy this query and paste it here. Copy and paste it here. Then preview the data. You can see the data from this particular table. If you give employee table, it takes the data from employee table. If you give department table, it takes the data from the department table. Now sync is going to be same. I'm just going to take a sync is output employee. Now your changes are done. Let's publish this. I'm just closing all of them. Yeah. So let me run this. So this time it is going to create a employee.csv file, and that CSV file is taking data from on-prem SQL Server database. Now it is succeeded. Let's go and refresh and see the data here. You can preview and see the data, how exactly it is happening. Okay, and if I wanted to take only department number 10, then what you can do in SQL, we already seen, if you remember, we can use the where class and department number equals to what? 10. Let's execute it. Now I can see the department number is 10 data. So what I can do is in the data source, you just go and change this query. We have a more flexibility. Okay, so I'm just going to debug it. Let me remove this employee table, or you can just leave it. It is going to be override. Let's debug it. Now if you go and see this file, we'll be having only department number is 10. Okay, that is one option. And other option is I wanted to keep this entire thing in the stored procedure. So we can create a sample stored procedure, create procedure. I guess I have a procedure. Let me check. Okay, so I'm already having it. Let's modify this. So how we can create this stored procedure is the syntax for creating a stored procedure is something like this. Create procedure. So we are going to use the create procedure to create a procedure. And since it was already created in my system, before that, let me take this entire query. Okay, I'll come back to here. I wanted to use this data set. I'm going to set this query. You can preview the data. You can see data is getting. You can run this. And by the time, I'm just going to drop this stored procedure. In real time, don't do this. Okay. Create procedure. Procedure name is this as begin and end. So in between that, I'm just going to keep this code, whatever the code I'm having, it was succeeded. If I refresh this, then you can see the department name details also. So that means we can also take the data from multiple columns. You can see department name is there, location is there. Okay, so instead of executing this code, I wanted to keep that entire code in the procedure itself. Let me take the copy of this. In between that, I'm just keeping this code. Let's create it. Procedure is created. And if I wanted to execute it, you can execute with the store procedure, you can see. Now, I wanted to take out the file from here. Let's take out this. So this time I'm going to take a stored procedure option. In the stored procedure, it is going to ask you to take the stored procedure. Let's refresh this. Let's go for download. I mean to say drop down. You can see get employee details and publishes. So stored procedure is used to call the stored procedure and query. These two are chances to use in the real time, but I didn't come across this table. Okay, so table is because it is going to take only specific table. So these two are the recommended in real time. Now I'm just going to debug it. I don't have a employee file. It is going to be created by executing the stored procedure with copy data activation. Now if you go and see the output here, you can find employee.csv file data. Okay, so this is how we can do it. And so here I have a single table, right? Let me take the same place. I'm just trying to take it. Yeah, so this is how I'm having it. So same to same, way down. There is a slight change. I just wanted to do it. The change I wanted to do here is, let's take a copy of this. I have an employee table and same to same, there is no change. The only change is underscore today's date 03 29 2024. Okay, so we already discussed about it. You just try from your side. This is the use case for you. Okay, this is the use case for you. You can try from your side. And if there is a change in the file name, then definitely you cannot go with, otherwise let me explain about this so that you can get a clear picture about it. So here what happens is, you cannot use the data set. Your data set should not point to the file directly. You have to make this dynamic. So to make this dynamic, I'm just going to clone this data set. Let's clone this. So instead of employee, I'm just saying file name or something like this. I'm just taking it. So same to same data set, but file name I'm not going to pass. I'm going to make it dynamic. Let's create a parameter plus new. The name of the parameter is parameter file name. Let's go to the connection back again. So here I'm going to take the parameter. Let's hit OK. We already come across this. Okay, so did we come across it? I guess set variable activity we have seen, right? I guess I've shown you. Set variable activity I explained. So if that is the case, yes, we have done. We have come across the parameter. That is fine. Okay, so anyhow, I'm just going to take it through again here. I have created a data set parameter. For this data set parameter, we need to take the value from the data factory. I mean to say from the pipeline, we need to take the value for this parameter. And once this is done, then I'm going to create one more new pipeline, a new pipeline underscore move data from on-prem to ADLS. On-prem to ADLS I'm having, that is fine. Let's take a copy data activity. So in copy data activity, we require a source. Source data set is same, on-prem SQL, that will not change. Okay, so you can take a query or you can take a stored procedure. I'm taking a stored procedure here. Let's take the stored procedure, that is fine. And the sync data set is what? Output underscore file name. So this is going to ask you to pass the name of the file here. The name of the file we need to take. How exactly we are going to write the name of the file? I'm just going to say here. We have to get this requirement, right? This is the requirement that we are looking. Employee is common. I'm just going to say, we know how we can get this date part. We already seen in the previous sessions. In the set variable activity, we have come across it, how we can do it. So I'm just taking directly UTC now. UTC now is going to give the current date and time. The output of this, we are going to give it to format date time. So this format date time, let's say at format date time is going to take the date and we need to have a format of MMDDYY format. Just close this. Close your format function. It is going to give the format. So that means this format will be given and this is going to be joined with the employee. So we need to use the concatenate function. Inside concatenate function, we are going to use employee underscore is the name of the file, and date format we need to take it and close your CSV also is required. let's say comma and dot CSV. Let's close your concatenate function. So inner functions should not have the at, so I'm just taking out them. Let's take a copy of this. I'm going to use this expression here. Where I'm going to use in this particular place, I'm going to use directly. We don't need to create a variables again. Oh my god. Let's go again here. Take a copy and paste it. Hit OK. So if you can write here directly, we don't need to set up a variable. Okay, so it all depends on your interest and requirement. We can do it. But if you wanted to do directly expression here, we can do it. Or if you wanted to keep this result in the variable, set variable activity and call that variable name, that is also fine. In the last session, I explained about it. Now I'm just going to publish this. If I run this, what happens is it is going to create a employee underscore date. Let's debug it. Let's go and see the output here. You can see what is the format we are having, employee underscore date format I'm having it. Okay, that is one thing I wanted to say. And if my data source is having multiple tables, then how you can handle it? Let's say, for example, let me take this. If I have an employee, customer, department. So just taking out, all these things are not required. So same to same. So here I have to take this. I have to say customer underscore date, department underscore date. So this is my source and this is my target. So in order to do this, multiple activities are required. So I'm just going to say ADF here. By using ADF, I need to bring the data from here to here. Okay. And first of all, you should know how many number of tables are there in the data source. So here I have given 3 tables. Today I have 3 tables. Maybe tomorrow there may be multiple tables. Okay, so if you wanted to know how many number of tables are there in the data source, just go here. You can see the tables. 3 tables are there. So if I'm having multiple tables, then how you can do it? I wanted to read as many number of tables are there. So in order to do this, we have to use select star from information underscore schema dot tables. Is the name of the table. Table is the name of the table is tables, and under this particular schema, it is available. So it's a system tables. I have a 4 records are available here. Customer, employee, department, and employee, and so on. But I need only base table. I don't need the views. So if that is the case, then you can use where a table underscore type equals to what? Base table. Let's execute this. If I execute it, it is going to show you only this 3 tables. But I don't need all the columns. If you need, you can take it. But here I wanted to take table underscore name alone. Let's execute it. Now you can see the 3 tables. So once I have the 3 tables, then I need to write a SQL. Okay, I need to make a dynamic SQL code. So if you can provide the solution, okay. So for each and every table, we cannot go and create a one pipeline or one copy data activity. With a single copy data, I wanted to provide the solution for all the tables. So that is what the dynamic pipeline. So how we can create it, that we are going to see in the next session. So tomorrow we are going to have a first, if you have any doubts, then I'll clear the doubts. Once I have cleared the doubts, then we are going to talk about this use case. So this is very important use case. Please be available everyone on tomorrow. So I'm stopping here. If you have any question, you can ask me. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's the Priyanka here.
Yeah, Priyanka.
Yeah, if we have multiple sources and one target, we can do that also, right?
We can. We are going to come across it.
Okay.
Only thing is you have to create a multiple pipelines or multiple activities you are going to have it.
Okay.
That's possible. Yeah, Venkat.
I have a question.
Yeah, Viran, tell me.
Yeah, self-hosted IR. So while registering, we have 2 keys, key 1 and key 2. Both are same or different?
Anyone you can use it.
Okay, both are different, but any can
Yes.
use.
Yes.
Okay, and also can you cover the with parameter reading with parameter data tomorrow class?
Can you repeat again?
So can we read the data using storage procedure with parameter?
We are going to come across it. In some point of time, we'll cover it. Not here. I'll take you to a different place. At the time of logging, I'll show you how we can pass the parameter value to the store procedure. That's possible. Anyone else? Any question? Yeah, Venkat, you can talk. I think we are not able to hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm.
See, if I took
Your voice is little low voice. Can you check your value?
is no?
Now it's fine.
Okay. See, okay, if I'm using this on-premises database in our Azure portal, right? Is it will anyway it is not going to be charged, right? Even if I keep tables in Azure Data Factory.
In Azure, it is not going to charge until unless you run. But Azure SQL database is going to be charged. On-prem is not going to be charged because my storage is completely on-prem.
Yeah, here okay, but coming to Azure Data Factory, right? So there we are setting these
No,
configurations.
That is not chargeable. That
Okay,
is
even
only
if
just setting up, right? So
okay,
see, when you're running it, that time you're using the resources. I already told you, when you're using resources, then there will be charge. So just having connectivities and all is not going to be charged.
okay.
How do
So
you know
if
this? How do you know this connector is working? If there is no integration runtime, then connector is not going to work, right? There is a connectors, but they are not chargeable. Only when you run it, that is chargeable.
okay, only for running only. If I run any pipeline in Data Factory, for those only it will be chargeable.
Yes.
Okay.
Even if they are taking a charge, we cannot recognize there is a charge is happened. Okay, so that is negligible if it is there even. But as per my knowledge, when it is running, when we are using the resources, that time it will be charged.
see, anyway, we are going to take a free subscription, right? So we can
Yeah,
use
that's
whatever.
not a problem. Yeah.
So we come. I mean, yeah, for experience only. If we
Yeah.
use free subscription, then we will get to know what how services we can use, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm using paid only. Okay, so even we cannot identify is there charges happened or not because they don't break up the charges. Okay, so they will give the charges according to the service level, but for integration runtime for this much or for this particular thing this much, they don't give a breakup in the invoices.
Okay. So
because
here we
of
are creating integration runtime sites. For that also, it will be chargeable.
this is not going to be chargeable because we are installing in the on-prem.
Yeah.
We are installing in the on-prem, but when you go for SSIS integration runtime, that is dangerous.
Okay. What about that one? Azure integration runtimes?
This is what it is.
Yeah, that is also. Is it chargeable or?
No, when you run it, everything is chargeable. This is default will come.
Yes, yes. If you use Azure, then it will default.
Simple when you run the pipeline, there will be charges that you can identify. Okay, you can feel there may be charges, but having just creating a integration runtimes or having just link services, I don't think there will be charges.
Okay. So we can't
No,
track.
we cannot track. We
I
cannot
mean,
take those
for
details.
example, today how much?
That you can get it, but that you can say, but not in each and every item. You are getting my point, right?
Yes,
the
yes,
breakup
yes.
will not be there.
The total bill he will.
Yes,
Okay, each device also we can.
we can get it.
Okay. That where we can see. I mean, for
Yes.
example, today if we use right, so we will get to know what is the cost I have spent. So tomorrow I will try to reduce it.
In today, in cost analysis, if you go, even here, it is going to give, depends on your till it says it is going to give a forecast also. How much it says it is going to be. Okay, invoices will be there.
Actually, today I'm going to take a subscription.
Okay, that's not a problem. You can say for me it is having 2,300 because I started data flow, right? That is the, you can say from this particular places only it is increased the amount. You can say day to day on 15th up to 15th, it is 486. If I go for 16, then you can just have a like the difference between this. How much difference?
It's around 500.
You can go for not everyday 500. You can go for table format. You can see the dates here. Better, it will be column stacked. So you can see the variance, how much variance, like in 20, it will just increase some value, right? Up to here, 20 is this one. So in 21 is just increase this. But when you go for 22, there was less because maybe I removed the sources. Because of the removal, you can see the same, more or less same kind of amount is there. Again, on this particular place, it is slightly increased. That you can do. So this all will be taken care by administrators.
Yeah, that's okay. But for now, we should manage, right?
Yeah, you can do it. You can just
and
remove
also,
the resources so that you can reduce the cost.
Okay, so for example, today I started working on it. Okay, I mean, if I want to do anything, we should create a resources, right? So once the session completed, I mean to say like my practice session completed, so I can remove resources, so it will be no cost at all.
Yes.
The next day, freshly I can create new resource again.
Yes, from there it will be charged. It will start. Depends on the resource.
Okay, if resources keep it open, then what it will be?
That's what if you keep this. Definitely, you are utilizing the resources, right? But cost will be little different because you are not running. Let's say for storages, if I keep the storage data, definitely they're going to charge, right? I told you there are different types of cost, right? For storage also they're going to take cost, and for processing also they're going to take a cost.
Okay. Yeah, I'm clear about it.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other question? Venkat, do you have any question?
Hello, sir. Good
Yeah, I'm
evening,
fine, Bhaskar.
Okay. Yeah, Abhi, do you have question?
Actually, here from on-prem, we are just filtering out something by using ADLS Gentoo, right?
No. The question is, I mean to say, in the SQL server, we have written this code, right, in the procedure. We joined it. So simple, we are writing some code in the, let me go to the activity. So if the stored procedure is having a filter, then it is going to be filtered. You can write whatever the query you wanted to filter it. Okay.
We are writing query, and what about stored procedures, sir? Actually,
Stored procedure, see, if stored procedure, if you observe, the procedure is not having data from the single table, it is having data from multiple tables. If you observe. We talked about the join statements, right? Employee
Yes, sir.
table and department table, not a single table. It is taking data from multiple tables.
if you wanted to take from multiple tables, we need to write stored procedures.
No. You can write a SQL code. I already shown it this also. With the
Yes.
query option
SQL.
also, we can take it. It's
We are
different.
storing in some third table from two tables.
No, we are not storing. We are getting the data. See, if I execute this statement, is that created a table? No, right? So
No, sir.
this output will go and store in the Azure Data Lake Storage Center.
Okay.
Okay, so same to same. There is no change. In the sink, we are storing the data. Whatever the output we are getting here, this is just presenting. It is not creating any table here in the source. So once it is completed, once the execution is completed, for entire this data is going to store in the file. Because we are providing the same.
ADLS.
Yes,
Yes.
in the ADLS it is going to store it.
What about this table, sir? Actually,
Which tables?
there are three options. Like one is
I have shown
query,
you.
and one is stored procedure, and one is table.
If I go for table, I have shown you here Azure SQL. If I go for table, what happens is it takes only data from single table. Only from single table. If I have a data from more than one table, then ultimately I have to go for query only. So in this particular pipeline, you are getting data from how many tables? You are getting data from multiple tables, right? Here. We're writing the code. This entire code we are writing. If you take a query, this query is taking multiple tables or not? Employee and department.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting?
Yes, sir. I did
Okay.
not get that. What is the difference between query and stored procedure?
Amen.
Sorry, sir.
Let me explain again. So query means you can write a query.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what happens is basically mostly we don't take a stored procedure. I have taken this query, right? Let's say for example, if I go with this, let me close all of them and I'll reopen one of them. Since it is already published, I don't need to do the change. Okay, I'll just reopening it from on-prem to ADLS. This one. So stored procedure is there. So if I go with the query, I cannot change anything. This is fixed. Okay, this query is fixed. If I wanted to do any change, I have to come to the data factory and I need to do the change. Let's say suddenly they're asking you to do some changes in the procedure, in the code. So if this is the case, then what happens is, you can directly go to the procedure, modify this, And if they ask any condition, you can add a condition in the stored procedure. You don't need to open the data factory.
Okay.
Okay, you can alter it. Okay, so your stored procedure is altered, but this query, if you wanted to modify in the pipeline, you have to open the pipeline, you have to do the changes. So that's not going to be possible, right? So because of that reason, in some places, for more flexibility, they're going to ask you to read the data from the stored procedure. Whenever they wanted to do the changes, they will do the changes in the procedure. They never touch the data factory. So in that case, the stored procedure is going to be much more flexible. You're getting my point? If I preview the data, it gives the data for only depart number 10. If I go for query, since I have a query here, it takes the data for all the departments. Now, did you see the difference?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so query means you have to go and write a query here. Directly you have to do the changes. Without opening the data factory, you can do the changes. If it is a stored procedure, you can do changes in the query itself. We don't need to touch the data factory.
Okay. If we are writing the query in stored procedure.
That is what a query only, right?
Yes,
Stored procedure is what? Query only.
Querying.
Same query only. Only thing is, I added one more condition. Okay, so did you attend the SQL sessions?
No, sir.
Okay, so just go through the previous sessions. So where we
Yes.
discussed about how we can read data from single table and multiple tables. So in real time, what happens is we are not going to take a single table like this. Okay, so I've shown you a single table, right? But that is just for understanding. But in reality, you are going to take data from multiple tables. So when there is a multiple tables, then you have to write a join statements. You have to write join statements. I explained clearly. Go through them in the previous sessions of SQL. You'll get better clarity.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any question? Okay then. If you're not having any question, we'll see you on tomorrow. Thank you for that.